Possible hardening in Chinese strategy. Trump's aggressive/Americanist behavior has weakened the convergence between America and its allies, creating a potential geopolitical space for greater Chinese influence in the world. This opportunity has so far been pursued by Beijing both by avoiding an open and symmetrical conflict with Washington, while not renouncing verbal expressions and covert actions of opposition, and through diplomatic communication aimed at defending a fluid global market as opposed to U.S. protectionist tariff policies. Until recently, Chinese strategic analysis clearly showed an interest in consolidating a stabilized G2 relationship, even in a form of intra-war cooperation, with America, considering it a power in decline in the long term, but still endowed with military superiority for a certain period. To simplify, China perceived a destiny as the leading global power that made above-threshold conflicts with the United States in the short to medium term unnecessary. However, in recent weeks signs of changes in Chinese strategic thinking have begun to emerge. The redeployment of U.S. military power in the Pacific in an anti-Chinese function contradicts the doctrine of an American withdrawal into the vertical hemisphere of the Americas. Furthermore, the geopolitical space left contestable by Washington's Americanist mistakes is favoring global Eurocentric expansion via zero-tariff trade agreements more than China, India, Mercosur, Canada, Japan, and, prospectively, Australia, Indonesia, etc. On the one hand, Beijing is trying to create good relations with its geo-neighborhood, to penetrate Europe and the Arab world, and to remain a power in Africa. But on the other hand, it is not succeeding sufficiently. Moreover, it senses that the Euro-American divergence will have a limit and that Western Europeans will impose expansionary limits on Chinese influence. Therefore, to simplify, China cannot renounce the structuring of a sufficiently large Sino-centric Eurasian bloc to maintain global geoeconomic and geopolitical relevance. Iran is an essential part of this bloc, and China will hardly be able to avoid defending its regime, as it did with Venezuela, moving from indirect support, by assigning Pakistan, a satellite, but not too overtly, the role of mediator, to a more direct one. In summary, China needs to find and consolidate a geopolitical space of its own dominance where it can exercise stronger protection over aligned nations. The point, in the current circumstances, will this possible change in Chinese strategy prevent Sino-American cooperation to unblock Hormuz? On the one hand, China needs it, but on the other it must support the Iranian regime in order to strengthen its conditioning capacity vis-à-vis America and the EU. That is, to show that a price must be paid to Beijing in order to obtain a calming of the theaters of the Gulf and Ukraine, not necessarily renouncing a Sino-American G2, but placing Beijing in a position of superiority over Washington. It is a danger that deserves corrective assessments by the EU, the United States, and Italy.